everyone, and welcome to Montum's third debate podcast. I'm here with Haneen, Iman, and Mr. Mishra. We're having an open-ended debate on the topic of voting, so let's begin.
Okay, the first topic we're going to be talking about is why do people vote? Mr. Mishra, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, I think people vote because they want to have a say on how their countries run. They want certain things to benefit them, and they want somebody to trust that they empower to deliver those things for them. So I think that's the main reason.
Okay, so I think to summarize what the points Mr. Mishra said, for democracy and to make sure that everyone has a say on the country and their country and what happens with it.
But why do people like changing their prime minister every few years?
It's because it could, the prime minister could shape their community or change the laws to make things better.
And also they get 4 years, so that's, I think, enough time to judge somebody if they're delivering for you or not.
Yeah.
So if you feel they're not delivering, you're going to want to change, right?
So just as to summarize, people vote so that they can have a say on their country and who looks after it. But now, is voting a good thing?
I think it is because we need to have a say in what we think is right. So, for example, we're living in a country that we need to be happy with where we're living. So we need to have people making those changes to what we need.
Yeah, and also if you had like the same, say you had just one person in charge all the time, with that power, they could become quite bad. And then if you don't vote, how do you ever get that changed? What if they become into like a dictator? There's some countries where they don't vote and there's always somebody there all the time. So I think it is important because I think you need to safeguard the people as well. And people need to have a say in how their countries run.
Yeah, and sometimes the prime minister can do things that you just don't like. And like, some people might like it, but you don't want that. And you would like to have a say on somebody else to try.
Yeah, I agree. But also, like, if they're like not very nice people and say they're starting a lot of wars, they're putting you in danger. So you're not going to want someone like that in charge. So if having a voting system protects you from that ever happening, because you can change the people if you need to. And sometimes, like in this country, we call general elections early if we need to, if things are going really bad. So I think it's really important.
Also, the government listens not only to you, but they listen to people around the country, which helps determine who's going to be the leader.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest reasons voting matters is that it gives people the power to create the change. And like, for example, if someone wants better schools, safer streets, cleaner parks, voting is one of the main ways that to make sure that those things actually happen.
Yeah, and also it's not just for voting for your prime minister, it's voting for your local MP. Now, you guys know who the local MP is here, right? So we vote for them as well so they can have the biggest impact where we live. So it's not just about voting for the prime minister, it's about voting for the people in your area who can impact where you live.
Also, voting could be a bad thing because sometimes it could be unfair with how, like, maybe sometimes they could, like, the prime minister, they could, like, say something, maybe stick to it for a bit, but then change their mind.
Yeah.
And then just go on a completely different path, which makes it a bit of a bad thing because, like, you have to be very careful with your decision.
Yeah, I think that's a slightly different debate, but I agree with you because that can influence people's voting. But I still think people should be given the choice. If a politician lies in the end, that's not the people's fault. But I agree. I know what you're trying to say.
But just like along those lines, not everyone always gets the opportunity to vote. So not like, I'm not talking under 18s. I'm talking like over 18s. Not everyone gets a chance to vote. And it's not fair because then the government only listens to some people and not all of them. And then it's just not fair because what if you want a different prime minister or you and a group of people want a different prime minister, but your say is just not heard?
It would be hard because even though you might not think it'd be hard, there's also thousands of other people who are voting. So it might not make a small difference, but it could make a big difference depending if yours is on.
Yeah, but every little makes a difference.
But I agree because I think that's where, going back, the local MP becomes really important, voting for them, because they go to the prime minister, they go to the main government and say, people in my area want this, you need to make this happen. So I think voting for that person in particular is really, really important because then it'd be harder to have a say for us if we didn't vote for a local MP.
Yeah, I agree because like the local MP, if they can tell that the people in their area can want something really badly, then they are heard and then they do go on to the prime minister and say, my people want this, blah, blah, blah.
For example, like my uncle, in his area, he'd do like a protest about not having post offices. Then his MP in his area will go to the prime minister, tell them like what they need. Yeah, like sort of help their area a lot.
Did they get the post boxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see there, so him voting for that MP was really important because if they didn't have that person, that probably wouldn't have happened. So you could see he changed the issue. We have early voting as well. So like say like older people, they can vote early if they can't get out the house. They can do it by post. Do you think that's good? Do you think everyone should vote on the same day? I know it's slightly different to what we're talking about, but do you think that's good?
I think it's a good topic to bring up. But I think it's sort of fair because, of course, if you're older, you might not get the time to vote in the period that they give you. And so it's good that they get a little extra time too.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
And also at the same time, if people don't have like homes or anything and they have to walk it would take a while. So it's good that they have a certain amount of time so they can plan when they would do it and how.
I agree.
Let's move on. What is your opinion on children being allowed to vote? So I don't mean 16-year-olds, I mean like younger children. So our age, 11.
I think it'd be a good idea because everyone should have a chance to say what they want. But thinking about it, seeing as we're quite young, I don't think really it's that sensible. Since sometimes like, you could be like normally sensible and like make the right decision to think about it. But then there's some children who just go straight for it, who wouldn't think over it properly, maybe make a bad decision or just mess around with the child.
Yeah, and I think that children have a slightly not wider idea on politics and who their prime minister is. However, 14, 13, they have knowledge, like enough knowledge about civics and politics and government to have the same ability to make voting choices as older voters. But sometimes some people can be not mature and then they might just copy, they just might do what their parents are doing. So their parents are voting for Labour, they're voting for Labour immediately because they don't have their own say.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really hard one. I think like your age, about 11, I think potentially could because you guys all seem like quite intelligent and you know what you're voting for and things like that. But I think also it comes down to interest. If the child isn't really interested into politics, then they're probably not going to know much about and who to vote for. And I think they can get influenced by their parents if the parents are voting. So it's a hard one. I definitely think from 14, 15 is a good age. I think we could possibly lower it to then. But I'm not sure anyone under 11, I wouldn't personally, because I just think they're not going to have an understanding or they'll be influenced.
Yep, I agree because not everyone has all the information, enough information or knowledge to be able to choose the prime minister that they want. But, you know, normal kids, about 14 or 15 teenagers, I think they could be able to make their own decision.
Yeah, and also it's kind of unfair because if somebody wins the election, you're not going to know how much they've actually won because people wanted them, or is it because loads of kids voted them just because their parents voted for them? So I think the vast majority of adults, even if they're not interested in politics, they know what they're voting for and why, but I don't think kids would.
So now they can just add 2 votes to every parent.
Yeah.
And also in school, we do vote for school, and it also says at the end that we can do like our own mini vote. So I think that's enough for our age.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's a bit unfair to children age 14, like to 14 to 15. Like they are mature enough to vote, but I think vote for school is like enough for us to have our own say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think because the votes for schools, okay, this is getting a bit off topic, but votes for schools isn't government, but it's more of things that we want in our school and things that aren't really so close to government. But I think, yeah, that's good. The children have a bit of a practice for how we're going to vote, what to think about when voting, and so it kind of prepares them for when they're older.
Yeah, just going back to adults for a minute, people who don't vote, do you think they have a right to complain if the country's not going the way they want to?
Not really, because they didn't vote for their opinion.
I agree with you.
Which means that, like, how would they complain about it if they didn't even vote themselves?
Yes.
And that vote could have meant to a different leader.
I agree. And that's why I think voting's so important. So when people don't vote and they complain, I kind of think, well, what are you complaining about? You should have made your opinion heard.
Okay, so just to wrap up this, should children be allowed to vote? Children, most of them should hopefully be mature enough to make their own decisions, but they might just be shadowing their parents and they might not all be mature enough to make their decision and actually learn about politics enough. But okay, so that's done. I have another question. Do you think we should be getting fined if we do not vote?
No. Go on.
I don't think no. I think no, because some people might not some people might live really far away, and they won't be able to go in time. And if they don't go in like this lecture in time, I mean, why would they be fined if they're poor? I mean, it wouldn't really make sense, and it'd be a little unfair if they live far away and they can't go.
But they get to do postal votes from home and send that off.
Also, like,
Yeah.
it's their choice whether like they don't vote or not. Because
Yeah.
probably maybe, for example, let's say there are 3 people who want to run, and you think that none of them have good aim, so you don't want to really vote to like seem.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they should be fined. I think that's really unfair. I think it is really unfair.
Yeah, especially like in a free country, people should be able to decide for themselves. And if
Yeah.
someone doesn't feel ready or doesn't know how to vote, they might not want to. And then forcing people to vote or making them pay money if they don't just takes away their freedom to choose.
And also, they might just not be interested. And also, if you imagine like a very rich person, I'm not saying that rich people aren't into politics, but some of them might not be because, you know, they're comfortable in life. They know they're going to be all right. They don't really need anything to work specifically for them. So they might think, oh, I don't need to vote. I'm fine. So then it'll be unfair if you find them on that as well. Also, Jenny, like what you were saying about a poor person, if he can't get there or he doesn't know much about politics, it seems a bit unfair to find them. But I do think the other side, I don't think they should be really allowed to complain though if they don't vote, because I think everyone has a right to have a say. So if they shouldn't be fined, but at the same time, I don't think they should complain. Iman?
Also, like, voting is basically helping people to get their voices heard, but most people don't really want to. So, yeah.
Also, some people might not feel ready that they could vote if they're like just turned the age limit for some countries, and if they don't know like how to vote, why would they should be fined?
Okay, so we've done the fining, and I think we all agree none of us they shouldn't
Yeah.
be fined. Are we all in agreement though that they shouldn't complain if they don't vote?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But do we think voting is important in the end?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Do you guys see yourself voting when you're older?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hopefully if we can make a difference younger.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the age one though. I think we were a bit different on that one.
Yeah.
Who should be voting?
I think
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't mind around year 6 age children voting because I think you guys are quite mature at this age.
But at the same time, some people might have like a bit of some disorders which can make them really immature if they're
Yeah.
our age.
True.
Yeah,
And
but-
some people might not like know much about politics.
and that's just like us. We're quite mature, but not everyone is. And for example, people in our own class, they're not as mature as we are.
And, like, I think it's great that if we do vote, we should get the opportunity, but I don't think we should be voting like normal voting, just like 10
Yeah.
years or something.
So in general, I think that people aged 14 and over should vote for like the local MVPs, but age 16 and over should vote like for the government because they're mature enough.
Oh yeah,
to.
that's a good idea.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I think we could then, if we're just doing local MPs, it could be like 13. But then for prime ministers, it could be 16 because 16 is still a good age.
Yeah.
So why would you say young people can vote for local MPs but not the Prime Minister? Do you think
Because
it's-
local MPs don't like make a change in huge areas. They only make change in like small
Like their own area.
yeah
that they're
in like
Okay.
about like 1 mile radius.
And so,
let's
like,
say.
if the children they might not choose the correct person, it won't be as big of as big as if as
A
big as an
difference.
a difference as if it was like a prime minister.
Do you think kids your age or around your age would be strong enough to vote for someone they really wanted, or do you think you guys will be influenced by your parents or families?
I think
I think it's like a
mix.
mix. I think
Yeah.
it's more
Same.
like a mix.
Yeah.
Because like I do know a bit about politics, but I think it's just easier to
yeah.
do what my parents are doing.
Yeah. But as you get older, I definitely encourage you guys
Yeah.
do your own research, make up
Yeah.
your own mind on who's better for you, because it's always better to vote for someone that you really want. Interesting. But I
Yeah,
think we're in
and
agreement on most
yeah.
points.
But just for another one about the children, the like people in Wales after 16 they're allowed to vote in the Wales elections. So I think if England might copy that as well and have 16 for the prime minister.
Yeah. I think 16 is definitely old enough. I
Yeah,
think
16.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
plus it'd make more people vote, which will definitely tell the difference about which leader would become president.
Yeah, and I think the more you encourage people to vote, the better. The voter turnout, the better.
And I definitely think the people who are running will be quite happy seeing more people
Yes.
helping them.
Okay, so just to wrap it up, voting has a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. Overall, voting is a good thing. It lets a lot of people make their own choices, and children should be allowed to vote as they should have their own say. we thought it would be good for 16-year-olds to be able to vote for the Prime Minister, but then children a bit younger just voting for the local MP. But yeah, voting is a very big topic with a lot of pros and a lot of cons. And just to end it at that, that's it for the Monson podcast.